Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Hopeful Chewbacca at the Church of Chewbacca. We're going to go over the pack that you unlock at Bronze level 65. It's a pack of 7 legends. It was also part of the pre-order pack, so some of you guys might already have some of these players. We're going to go over each one individually, all 7 of the cards, and then we're going to go and make who I think is the top 3 cards to go with and who I think you should pick based on what your current situation is in your lineup. So we'll go over whether you should pick which starting pitcher to pick, whether you should get Mariano Rivera in what situation, or you should pick, or which hitter you should pick based on how your team lineup is and which ones I feel are best. First, we're going to go over John Smoltz. John Smoltz throws the ball pretty hard for a starting pitcher, 96 miles per hour. And then he has 4 pitches that all are about the same speed. They're all going to have different movement. I'm not sure what the difference between a circle change and changeup are. I do know that the circle change probably will cut back a little bit against the grain. He has very high break, 97 break, so he's going to have a lot of movement on that slider and curveball. He has pretty decent per nines, good stamina at 100. The 75 home runs per 9 is actually a pretty good number. His field, for a pitcher, field doesn't really matter that much. But having 5 pitches as a starting pitcher, right-handed, I think he'll be usable for a while in most people's lineups. For quirks, he has untouchable, knee buckler, grounded, pressure cooker, and workhorse. I do think it's important to have the grounded and knee buckler traits. So this John Smoltz card really reminds me of the first inning program Cy Young, because he has a good fastball, and then he has 4 pitches that are about the same speed, but they're different movements. So I do think that this card will be usable for a decent amount of the game. I just think it's going to be a pretty decent card for a while. We'll see, though, based on what comes out, how much he can be used. Right now, if I had him, he'd probably be the 4th guy in my rotation, behind the Alex Reyes, probably Tom Glavine, and somebody else. But we'll get over whether or not I think John Smoltz or Tom Glavine is a better pickup whenever we get to the end of this. So that's the review of John Smoltz. We're going to move on to Mariano Rivera. So Mariano Rivera, he's a closer, right-handed. He's one of the best closers in the history of baseball, if not the best closer to ever play the game. Everyone knows, if you're a baseball fan, that Rivera really didn't throw more than just his cutter. So it's not surprising that he throws a cutter, 2 fastballs, and his slider. I do think that he's effective even with just his cutter and slider. They both have kind of the same movement with a decent enough pitch speed difference to make it worthwhile. His cutter's very hard to hit. Has 99 breaks, so there's a lot of movement on his slider and his cutter. Has very good per 9s. 93 home run per 9 is ridiculous. His hit per 9 is 102. Very easy to control. His quirks are pressure cooker, stingy, control artist, grounded, and sinker baller. I believe with these quirks that he has, it'll make him very hard to hit at the end of games, especially with the sinker baller and the grounded. I believe that the sinker baller works for his cutter. I could be wrong, but I believe it does work for his cutter, so I think it'll make him pretty hard to hit. And I just think this is a pretty good card. I really think that he'll be in a lot of people's bullpen for most of the season unless a better version of him comes out. Moving on to the next card, we're going from Mariano Rivera to Tom Glavine. 1991 breakout Tom Glavine. Another Brave starter. In this pack, you actually can get one of the 3 trio from the 90s, Smoltz, Glavine, or Maddux. So we're going to Tom Glavine here. So Tom Glavine throws 5 pitches, throws a mid-tier fastball. With the mid-tier fastball, he does throw a very slow, sweeping curve, has a decent circle change. His per 9s are pretty average across the board. His home runs at 74 isn't as high as you would like them to be. However, I think being that he's the only left-handed option in this pack, that could give him a little bit more value than some other guys, depending if you need left-handed pitching or not. Does have a lot of break and very easy to control. Has a very smooth motion. Quirk-wise, he has workhorse, stingy, untouchable, grounded, sinker baller, and illusionist. Pretty much any pitch he throws is going to have a little bit harder to hit based on these quirks. The grounded definitely helps at limiting the home runs, which is really what is, I think, most important when you're playing ranked seasons, is limiting people from hitting the long ball, because a lot of guys have a lot of power hitters. All right, moving on from Tom Glavine, we're going to move over to Greg Maddux here. Greg Maddux, he throws a 5-pitch pitcher. His main pitch is a sinker, so he's going to be pretty hard to hit, I think. He doesn't throw very hard, so I personally struggle with guys that throw slower. Most people pick up pitchers that can just gun in that fastball, throw it 100 plus, and guys that don't know what to do with themselves. They're like, oh boy, like, that's so high heat, it's hard to hit. Well, Greg Maddux is the opposite. He'll bore you to death with his slow pitches. I faced him a couple times. I hit him okay, not the best. He does have pretty good per nines at 80 for home run per 9. His Ks aren't that high, so he's not going to strike out too many guys. But he didn't strike out too many guys in real life. He was very much a precise pitcher that threw the ball exactly where he wanted. Has good stamina, pretty decent per 9 for hitting. His quirks are soft hands, sniper, pressure cooker, unbreakable, workhorse, stingy, control artist, grounded, and illusionist. I think it's very important that he has grounded and illusionist, especially illusionist, because of him being a slower throwing pitcher. Obviously, grounded is important because we don't want to give up homers in ranked seasons, or events, especially events 3 innings. So I think he's a pretty good pitcher. Could be in people's rotations for a little bit, especially if they enjoy him. I would think that the 3 Atlanta Braves cards that we went over, Maddux, Glavine, and Smoltz, and even Rivera, will all have higher cards at some point in the season. So these would all be a good chance to test out these pitchers to see if you'll like their higher cards, especially their pitch wind-ups and their pitching motions, to see if you enjoy them. Well, those were the 4 pitchers that are in this pack. If you need a pitcher, I would recommend getting, for a starter, I personally think that out of the 3 of these, that Smoltz will probably end up being the best one and the most usable in the long run. However, as a good mix, Maddux might be there as a mix. Glavine there's a left-handed pitcher. So they all have their own perks and positives. Eventually you'll end up with all 3 of them. If you really need a starting pitcher right this minute, I personally would pick Glavine, just because I don't think there's that many left-handed starting pitchers out there that are really good, especially not that you're getting for free. I would go with Glavine. That's who I went with in the beginning of the game. I've enjoyed pitching with him so far. I do think that Maddux and Smoltz are also suitable. And if you need a closer, obviously, or just a relief pitcher, Rivera's obviously a relief pitcher. The other 3 are not. This Rivera, I think, out of all 4 pitchers, is the best option to go with. But if you already have some good closers because you got some good pack luck or whatever else, I would probably go with Glavine if you needed some starting pitching help. Now, moving on to the hitters. So this card right here is the Mickey Mantle rookie card. Great defense, super fast, 94 speed. Honestly, other than maybe a platoon bat and a defensive sub, I think this card's actually not very good at all. I just think out of this entire pack, this is the worst card. I wouldn't pick this card except for dead last. I understand it's Mickey Mantle, and some guys are like, well, it's Mickey Mantle. Hopeful. Why wouldn't you want to pick Mickey Mantle? He's great, yeah. I mean, that's wonderful. And there's a Mickey Mantle card that's 99 already in the game. That is amazing. But this card is just not very good. 81, 82, 80, 81 power. I just feel like you can get some budget bats that I mentioned in one of my other videos that are just better than this. I just don't think this is the time to pick him, especially not at level 65 of bronze. You probably already played quite a bit. He does have decent quirks for stealing. He does have the platoon trait, which means he'll actually will hit the right-handed pitching a little bit better. But unless you want to use him as a defensive sub late in the game, I wouldn't recommend picking him until you absolutely have to. This is the Gary Sheffield card. This is him playing third base and only third base. He has a very strong arm. 89 arm power. Definitely can hit the ball well against left-handed pitching. Not the most power, but he has very high contact at 100. Only 61 power versus lefties. Can obviously hit the right-handed player pretty well too. 75 and 70 respectively for contact and power. His swing, he has that little hitch in it where he goes kind of like this. If you don't mind that when you're batting and it doesn't distract you based on your view, I actually really like his swing personally. But some people, I can see where that can be bothersome. It's just something to give you guys a heads up about his swing. For the quirks, he has hitting machine, 20/20 vision, and unbreakable. I really think the 20/20 vision is a great quirk because it's very hard to strike the guy out. If you can foul it off, and even just productive at bats, even in ranked seasons, if you run up a guy's pitch count, especially early on, it can really help you later in the game. So I do think these 20/20 vision quirks one of the better quirks. I just think this card's pretty decent for what it is. The next card is David Ortiz, Big Papi, Boston Red Sox first baseman, DH. I would think that this Big Papi, especially as a platoon hitter, just mashes right-handed pitching. He's not a fielder. He's never a good fielder. I mean, he even has DH on his card. I think that you could get away with picking him as a platoon guy, a bench bat to hit right-handed pitching. His quirks are walker and pressure cooker, which means he can check swing pretty well, but he doesn't have any power stats. He doesn't have any excels at hitting for his quirks. So I don't think that the quirks suited him very well for the production that he actually had in 2003 for this breakout card. But I mean, that's fine. I think that as a platoon bat against right-handed pitching, he'd be worth it for a bench bat. So if we're reviewing just the position players, I would honestly evaluate them. If you're looking for an everyday guy, you go with Gary Sheffield. If you just need a guy that can hit right-handed pitching, I think Big Papi's a better option out of the two when it just comes straight to hitting. But he obviously doesn't hit left-handed pitching very well. So out of this entire pack, if I had to rate these guys from 1 to 7, of what I think the best needs are in each overall, I would say that Mariano Rivera is number 1. I would say that Tom Glavine is number 2. Or you could argue that John Smoltz is number 2. One of these two guys is probably tied at number 2. Maddux is number 3. So I think, or 4. I think that the 4 pitchers are far superior to the hitters. And then I think that for hitters that you're going to use somebody like Big Papi as a bench bat more than you're actually going to use Sheffield long term. So I would go Big Papi, David Ortiz. Then I would go Gary Sheffield. And I would pick this Mickey Mantle card last. I just think this card's terrible, to be honest. So out of this, because I already have Mariano Rivera and Tom Glavine, and I really had a hard, because I got 2 of these from the pre-order, I really had a hard choice whether I want to pick Tom Glavine or John Smoltz when I was going through them as the second one, because obviously I picked Mariano first. I'm going to pick John Smoltz this time out of this pack. We'll select them. We'll add them to the rotation that I already have right now. So I have the Alex Reyes, Tom Glavine, Kluber, Blake Snell, and Noah Syndergaard. I'm going to put him in for Syndergaard. So he's promoted on the team. That's my review of these 7 cards that you get at level 65 bronze. As you can see, I'm level 66 right now, so I actually ended up unlocking the pack, doing a little bit more, and then decided to cut this YouTube video. Hopefully help you guys out about who to pick. I really appreciate you guys watching the content. I hope you're enjoying everything that I'm producing at the Church of Chewbacca. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button. You can watch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/HopefulChewbacca. I stream every Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 10:30, sometimes a little bit longer. That's Eastern Standard Time. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will be streaming. However, the times are not set because I do have a family. I have dogs. I can't guarantee on what times I'll be on. For the schedules on the weekends, I would follow me on Twitter at Hopeful1137. Also, that is my PSN, since some people have started asking what my PSN is. It's Hopeful with one L, 1137. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll post whenever I'm going to get on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, so you can see me get on. Or you can just go over to Twitch like we had mentioned before and just give me a follow. If you follow me on Twitch, you'll definitely know when I pop on because you should get a notification. Anyways, I really appreciate everybody watching. Let me know what kind of new content you would like to see on the channel by leaving a comment below. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe with all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. This is Hopeful Chewbacca, and I'm out of here.